Hey, y'all. All right, Sarah Glenn here. You guys, I've been coming in every week and sharing some really good tips around branding and marketing because I'm here to help you build brand recognition, make more sales, and all of the things in between, right? So, drop in the comments for me if you have been learning new stuff every time you encounter these weekly trainings. This week is going to be no different. We're talking about how to take your brand from a 4 to a 10. Like, can I get a hell yes? Because sometimes we have killer offers, right? Sometimes we have killer products, yet we're not making sales. We're not having enough conversations. Maybe people don't even know that we're in business. Let's change the conversation. Let's take your brand from a 4 to a 10 so you can start building more brand recognition and making more sales. So, if you guys don't already know me, my name is Sarah Glenn. I'm the creator and CEO of Social Jane Media. And this is a branding agency that focuses specifically on working alongside you to get your brand to become a true reflection of you. So that way, when people encounter your content, and all of the pieces of your business, they know, oh, that's Sarah. That's my girl. Like she does XYZ to help me achieve one, two, three. I want that for you. So I have successfully built my own brand and am seeing all of the fruits of my labor, right? It's all coming to life right in front of me, and it's really cool. So that's what these trainings are all about for you guys. I'm turning around and I'm showing you and training you and coaching you and sort of guiding you. Be the example, right? Go first. Go first, and the universe will follow. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to do a training today and run through how we can take your brand from a 4 to a 10. And I'll be honest with you, there's a little bit of strategy involved, but the most important piece of this puzzle is you. It is you. It is not what day of the week you post. It is not what time of day you post. It is not what color you use in your graphics. Okay. So keep a very open mind when it comes to what it means to actually build a brand, a sustainable, solid brand that has awareness, that has pieces of automation built into it, and also has an air of authority. So that way, when people know that they want to search for wellness products, they think of you. When they want to search for automation, they think of you. When they want to search for business coaching, they think of you. Okay. So, welcome on to today's training. Something I wanted to start off with that if you didn't catch that I was at a convention this past weekend, you guys, it was really good. It was really good. And I almost didn't go to this convention because I just wasn't sure that it was something that I wanted to put into the calendar and, spend money on travel and all the things. But it just so happened that the universe just aligned perfectly for me to be there. And I am so glad that I was there because some of the people that I met during this conference, I mean, like life changing stuff, you guys. The speakers, the attendees, just the whole experience. I have never regretted spending time, energy, or money on going to any of these because I always walk away with a newfound respect and newfound connections, collaborations, business ideas, inspiration, all the things. So if you ever find yourself coming across that, should I or shouldn't I go to my business's conference? Or maybe it's not your, like maybe not partnered with a business, but there is a business summit happening. If you hear about it and you feel that pull that you should be there, figure out a way to be there because you'll never regret it. The keynote speaker, by the way, was John Maxwell. Like, he's a freaking legend when it comes to leadership. And he spoke for 2 hours straight. And I was like, the whole time. Well, okay, I wasn't like this the whole time. I was on my phone taking notes instead of a Google Doc because some people had to leave early. And I was like, I got you. I'll take notes. So instead of handwriting stuff, which is what I normally do, I did it in my phone. So it was just easier to transcribe and send to people. But I took a couple pages of notes on Google Docs, and I was just like, every word he said, I was enthralled. So good. So good. But one of the biggest takeaways that I had from him was get yourself out of the people pile. What is this, right? What's the people pile? The people pile is social media. The people pile is all the noise. The people pile is where you get lost. It's like, where's Waldo, right? Don't be in the people pile. Your goal should always, when you're posting content, when you're creating your brand, when you're having conversations, when you're seeking out mentors and leaders, when you're asking questions, your goal should be get yourself on top of that people pile. And it's not that you're standing on other people to get there, right? It's not about that. It's about standing out. There is no reason to be like everybody else. That's boring. Get yourself out of the people pile. Become noticed. And that was one of his biggest lessons that he was saying whenever he was first getting started, like back in the 80s. And he was just like doing his own thing, right? Nobody knew who he was. He was starting to find some success with his churches and things like that. But he really wanted to dive into leadership and explore that more. And he wanted to get in front of mentors and other people that were seen as, the it people of leadership. And he's like, how do I get in front of these people? I got to get out of the people pile. I got to get noticed. So that way, when I'm having conversations with these people, at the end of that conversation, they look at me and say, when can we do this again? That's getting out of the people pile, getting yourself noticed, showing up as you. You're 100% uniquely you. Nobody else in the world is like you. Own it. So there were a lot of really fantastic speakers, a lot. And if you guys know any of them that I'm about to list off, and this is just a fraction, this is a small fraction of the speakers, but Kimberly Olsen was there. Gold Digger Girl, I know a bunch of you hearing this right now know Kimberly Olsen. Give her some fire in the comments. Of course, John Maxwell, like I mentioned, he was the keynote. Tyler Watson, this was a new connection for me. He is phenomenal. Oh my gosh. I am pumped. I'm going to be doing a 3-day intensive in October with him. And it's all about alignment and hyper speeding results. I'm like, yes, please. And actually, I'm going to be doing a podcast episode with Tyler in October. So that'll be airing, coming out, in a month or so. So be on the lookout for new podcast episodes with new collaborations. Cause this is how you get out of the people pile, y'all. You ask hard questions. I walked up to Tyler and I said, hey, I would love to have you on my podcast. What do I need to do? I fill out the form. I have communication with his team, right? I do the things. I would never have booked it if I hadn't have asked the question. Just because he's making millions of dollars, speaking on stages and all the things, do I have to be scared to ask? No, get out of the people pile. Let's see. Emily Ford, y'all, she was killer. She brought the fire, like so much energy. I actually referenced some of her work in the email that I sent out on Monday, and it kind of ties into today's training. It's really about like your it factor. And it's not what you think. It's not like, oh, you have to have pretty hair and nice makeup. That is not your it factor. Your it factor is all that stuff that lives inside of you that you've been hiding and masking for far too long. That is your it factor. So Emily was fantastic. She has had like crazy amounts of success. If you go follow her on Instagram, I think it's Emily, ITS Emily, I think is what her IG is. And then Bryn Lang, whoop, whoop. If y'all know Bryn, she's like starts every video that way. I met her recently, a couple weeks ago through Jessica Perry. Thank you for that connection, Jessica. That's what this world is about, connections and collaborations. But I met Bryn and we talked virtually. Then we got to meet in person, have dinners together and just like chat and get to know each other. She's just like freaking powerhouse. And she's so funny too. So if you guys want to connect with Bryn, she's got a whole group situation happening right now that is killing it called Mothers Making Momentum. It's so genius what her and her team are doing. And she kind of spoke about it a little bit at the event. And I'm going to be partnering with her doing some stuff coming up very soon. And you guys will hear about some of that. So I'm pumped to be working with Bryn. And she's just such a powerhouse. John and Nadia Melton, you guys, they cutest couple ever. Like they spoke together on stage. She has the most adorable Russian accent. And they are just such a fantastic power duo. And they were giving us some really good tangible stuff on growing things on social media and all the things. And of course, Ray Higdon, right? Him and his wife, Jessica, put on the event. And he is so funny. Like I had no idea how funny Ray was. He was like up on stage pretending to like catch a frisbee in his mouth, and he could do comedy. Like he could legit be a stand-up comedian. He's so funny. And I just every time he would come out and do a speech was killer. I had a coaching call this morning with a client, and I was able to share some of his wisdom about the 4 Ps. I'll come in and I'll share that maybe in the next week or two, because it's really great, especially if you're in network marketing. It's a fantastic training. So I'll come in and I've got a laundry list of incredible trainings coming your way. And then Jenny Potter, y'all, she's one of my new clients, and she is the sweetest soul. She, Self-Sabotage No More is her podcast, her book, her coaching program, and it's all about how to stop self-sabotaging. Anybody else self-sabotage on the regular? Like, I do that. I do that a lot. And I want to learn how to not do that so much. If you missed last week's podcast episode, it was with Jenny, and we were talking about how to self-sabotage no more. So be sure that you subscribe to Positive by Design, because there's new episodes rolling out every week, and they're fire. Like they're so good. The people that I'm having conversations with, the content that is being shared, this is stuff that you can soak up and you can turn around and you can share on your socials, right? If it resonates with you, right? If it resonates. And then so many others. I mean, Justin Prince, there was this one guy, his name is Chatfield, I believe. So many good ones. But all right, I didn't come on just to talk to you about the conference. So what I want to run through really quickly is the how to take your brand from a 4 to a 10. Honestly, it's pretty simple. Stop focusing on the colors and the fonts and the images. Those are part of it. Yeah, those are part of it. But there are so many layers to a brand. And the colors and the fonts and the images, that's the surface. That is the surface. So if all you're worried about is, should I use red or not, you're asking the wrong questions. Sure, yes, there is some color psychology, but that is not what you should be focused on, especially if you are in the beginning stages of building a brand, of really deciding what your brand is going to be. So think about some things. Oh, I got a call coming through. Hopefully that didn't mess anything up. So think about some things. Ask yourself, let's say you're sitting at the airport, right? And you're like, maybe you're at the bar top and you're just waiting on your plane. You see somebody sit next to you. Well, like, what makes you gravitate towards having a conversation with them? If you see somebody on social media, what makes you go and click the follow button? What is that thing that pulls you into them, that helps you decide that you want to be in their network, that you want to have a conversation, right? It's not, oh, she's wearing a pink dress, so like I better go follow her. No, I've seen plenty of people wearing clothes that I like that don't have the vibe that I like. And I'm like, no, maybe we don't connect, right? So it is not about the surface level stuff. It's the stuff underneath. It's the stuff that we try to hide from other people, which the people that find crazy success, they own those parts of themselves. They stop hiding those parts of themselves. They stop masking those parts of themselves, and they let those parts shine. They let those parts become their brand. I know it can sound really scary. I know it can sound really scary. But when you do the work, the inner work, right? Like I just was talking about Jenny Potter and Tyler Watson. They do a lot of this kind of work where you learn how to sort of neutralize these negative emotions, these negative connotations that we've placed on ourselves, right? We are giving power to these negative things. They don't deserve any power. Why do we continue to place power there, right? And why do we continue to worry about what other people are going to think for fear of being, not accepted and all the things? I know it's tough. I'm going through this work with you. I might be a couple steps ahead because I've done the work for a little bit longer if you're just now getting familiar with it. But I promise you, it is so worth it. It is so worth it because now whenever I have a encounter where let's say if I was to ask somebody, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? And they were like, your following's just not big enough. So no, like it's not a good time. Oh my gosh, I would be like before, let's say even just 6 months ago, I would have like a pit in my stomach and be like, oh shit, like I can't believe I even asked that person. I can't believe I even thought that it would be okay for me to ask. And, I would go through all of these negative self-sabotaging things as if I did something wrong and as if what they said was a personal attack on me. It's not, right? I am only taking it that way. I'm only perceiving it that way. And these are, I'm not really getting off track here. If you really, really pay attention to a person's brand, it is a reflection of who they are, the good parts, the sort of ugly parts that they're still working through. And that's why brands evolve. Because as you evolve, as you sort of up level in your own life, your brand is going to be doing the same thing. And that's how you take it from a 4 to a 10, is by paying attention to those things, not ignoring it. So the surface, that's your colors, that's your fonts, that's your images, that's the stuff you see, right? That is not your brand. That is an aspect of your brand. Think of your brand as like, right? Your brand is the vehicle, the whole thing, right? The colors, the fonts, the images, that's like the radio, maybe. Like fun stuff comes out of it, but it's not the thing. It's not the thing that makes the car go. It's not even the gasoline, right? It's like a fun addition. It's a fun additive to the whole experience. It's not the whole thing. And so I actually just had a client conversation, like a consultation call, which by the way, I do those complimentary brand Q&A calls. So get yourself on the books if you want to have a one-on-one talk. But I did one just the other day and she was asking, well, what's my next step? Like, what should we do? And I let her know, I said, look, we are not at the stage of colors and fonts and logos. Sure, you could pay me and I would produce something gorgeous, but would you be connected to it? Because you're not even sure who your dream client is yet. You're not even sure who it is that you're speaking to. You need to understand who you're speaking to, how you want them to feel when they come across your content, and who are you? Who are you being, right? Like, what is that reflection of you? Then after that, yeah, let's dive into colors and logos and all the fun things. But that's just the fun shit, right? So under the surface, right, what's that first layer? That first layer, which a lot of people, they'll get to this layer and then they just kind of stop. They stop. They get the surface and layer 1 and they don't really go any deeper. And they might find some success, but it doesn't really land. You go to launch a new program or you go to promo a new product or a new service and it just doesn't land. It's because you're not digging deep enough. So what's right under the surface? It's what you do. What you do kind of lives right under that surface. So of course we want people to know what we do. We want people to know we're in business, right? So that is part of the brand. That's part of it. It's not the thing though. So whenever someone says, who are you, right? What is it that you do? Okay, well, part of that answer is, helping people build brand recognition and make sales. But another part of that is I also help people have a brand that is a true reflection of their essence. Like I dig deep. I use intuition paired with strategy to create a brand that you truly connect with. That's really what I do, right? So you want to just keep peeling back the layers, keep peeling back the layers until you get to that juicy center and you're like, oh, oh yeah, this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. This is the stuff that people want to see. This is the stuff that lights me up, right? So we've got the surface layer, we got what you do. Under that, what is it? It's how you make them feel. So we're digging a little deeper, right? We're getting into the emotion of it all. We're getting into the feeling of it all. So, like I mentioned earlier, there's psychology around like colors and fonts and things like that. That's a feeling. That's how you're making someone feel whenever they see your content, whenever they come across the copy that you write. How are you making people feel? And that's why, particularly with the brand quiz that I know a lot of you have taken, and even if you took it a month ago, take it again, right? Like your answers might change a little bit because, like I said, as you up level, your brand is going to evolve. You want it to. You want it to. You want it to grow with you. But this layer two, how you make them feel, it really does kind of coincide with the brand vibe quiz that you guys have taken. That's the whole, like, that's one of the purposes of that quiz is what is the vibe of your brand? What is it that people are feeling when they come across your stuff? So if you've taken that quiz, you know that some of those results are, bold and strong, curious and adventurous, right? This is how people feel when they come across your stuff. They're like, oh my God, this is so fun, right? Maybe you're a little bit sassy. Maybe you're elegant. Maybe you're regal. Maybe you're quirky, right? These are all ways that people can feel when they come across your things. And so that's why you really want to discover these unearthed kind of layers of your brand before you start building the house, right? Before you start seeing the fruits of your labor come to life because you want to feel fully aligned with, what's coming up. So how you make people feel, very much a part of your brand. If you have, like, let's say you have a brand that is skincare or something of the sort. Well, you maybe, depending on your personality, maybe curious and adventurous isn't as in line with skincare as elegant and, smart or something like that, right? When people come across your stuff, how do they feel? Ask yourself this. How do you feel when you come across your stuff? That's a good indicator if you're on the right track or not. And then under that, how you make them feel is who you are. Who you are. Not who Susan is, not who Jessica is, who you are. The parts of you that make you you. Who are you? What parts of you do you want to showcase in your brand? Is it your humor? Is it your intelligence? Is it your kindness? Is it your straightforward, straight shooter kind of talk? Is it your I'm a no BS kind of person? Is it I'm fun and I cuss a little? Like, what is it, right? Who are you? So that's why whenever you want your brand to land as hard as your offer, you have got to ask these questions. And if you're wondering why your offer isn't selling or why your products aren't selling or why your conversations are going a little bit or why you're not having enough conversations, could be because you're not digging deep enough. You're relying on those surface level, superficial things that, yeah, when you come across them, it might be for a minute like, oh, nice, but there's no substance. So people don't remember it. They don't continue to visit your pages, right? Like you want a brand that is not only seen, that is not only heard, but is also remembered. People should be coming back to your profiles because they remembered something about you. Not that they remembered that you used pink in your cover photo, right? That's like the least important part. And that's might be weird for some of you to hear me say because I do branding, I do design. Like I work in colors and designs and fonts. But that's why the branding that I produce for these other business owners and leaders and entrepreneurs, that's why it lands so much harder for them, like harder as in good. That's why it lands better because when they see it, they're like, whoa, that's like me, like all wrapped up in a really gorgeous image. I didn't even know I could feel this way about me. Like I did a brand a little while back. And when I first sent it to her, she was a little bit like, whoa, is this too powerful? Like, is it too boss? And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? You're a freaking boss. Your brand is a boss. Like, you were playing it too safe before. And that's what I love to do. So, layers and layers and layers, keep peeling, keep peeling. If you want your brand to be a freaking 10, you've got to ask these questions. Who are you? How do you make them feel? Let them know what you do. I do XYZ, so you get 1, 2, 3. Boom. And then on the surface, tie it up in a pretty bow and make it look gorgeous. So I know you've heard me say it, but the thing that you're hiding and that you're masking, that is the thing that will separate you from the people pile. Thank you, John Maxwell. Such a great phrase. I'm going to use it all the time. Okay, I'm going to put this up on the screen for you guys. Book a complimentary brand Q&A call, y'all. Like 30 minutes of your time could propel your business in the direction that it needs to go. 30 minutes of your time could get you to finally check off that to-do list of launch my brand, design my lead magnet, automate my lead magnet, get a landing page, set up email sequences, get a freaking website. Like, it doesn't have to be that grand, but I'm letting you know that in just 30 minutes, we can have a very clear discussion on what you should be doing next. What's going to help you feel like you have jumped over that hurdle and have you go, yeah, I fucking got this. Like, I got this. Stop letting those roadblocks, right, stand right in your way. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this training today. I will be coming back into, these pages regularly, like on a weekly basis. I'm going to continue doing this because I got so much good stuff to run through with you guys. This just scratched the surface. I'm going to do a whole leadership training, utilizing the notes that I took from John Maxwell, and the possibilities are endless. I will also be attending another event next week, and it's just the content coming out of these events is blowing my mind. The connections blowing my mind. The collaborations, y'all. So I know some of you, September is a busy month for events and all the things. Go to them. Go to those events with an open heart and an open mind and be ready to talk to people. Be ready. Like, I'm saying that as an introvert. Like, I don't talk to strangers. No. Like, not because I'm like stranger danger. I just don't. I don't enjoy going up to a stranger and talking to them. But when I am at those events, I make a point to be like, hey, why are you here? What kind of business are you in? How long have you been doing this? Oh, fantastic. Oh, we know some people in common. Awesome, right? Like, you never know where the conversation is going to go. And that's exactly what has happened just from this past weekend. I was just open to meeting new people, open to having conversations. And someone actually asked me when one of Ray Higdon's team members asked why I was at that event. And I said, honestly, I was invited by my client, Jenny, and I decided, why not go? I know I'm going to meet some fantastic people. So all I came here to do was to be completely open and willing to meet new people, make new connections, create new collaborations, and see what happens. And that's exactly what happened. So be open to it, right? And if you want to take your brand from a 4 to a 10, you've got to ask the questions. So I hope you enjoyed this training. I will put everything, pinned in the group. If you're not inside of Social Jane, if you're watching this on YouTube or on my personal profile in Facebook, get yourself inside the group. We have other conversations in there. I'm going to start sharing some other things inside of that group as well. And you can always binge watch past trainings in the guide section. So if you're like, this was great, I need to see more like this, get yourself inside of Social Jane and pop over to the guide section and have fun. Until next time.